actually wanted to embarrass my parents a little more. Please stand up. And my husband. Can you guys hear me? They are one of the biggest reasons that, there we go, that I am an entrepreneur. They have really helped me. And my husband, Joseph, he didn't stand up. I wanted him to stand up too. But he puts up with a lot with us being married and running our own business can cause some conflict a little bit, but we'll get into that. This is my family. Does this thing have a pointer? Ah, I see it. Okay. James, he's 13 months now. He provides background music when I answer the grooming phone calls, although it's not always melodic. And this is my 3-year-old who offers a phone answering service for us sometimes. As she said, I did take a course at 11, and people ask me, how did you get started, or what gave you the idea? And you know, I know this is going to be, it's not really going to be helpful, but I really think it was just inspiration. I think it was meant to be, and not because grooming is where we want to go and the last thing we ever want to do, but I think it has provided a lot of opportunities and opened a lot of doors for us, and I think that maybe the Lord just wanted us to, you know, be in this industry and gave me the idea. I don't know. At 13, I took a loan from my parents and set up my first shop in Pennsylvania on their farm. My mom had to come out multiple times and validate that, yes, I was a groomer. I did take a course, and your pets will be okay. They will, their haircuts will turn out okay. So in 2004, I actually moved out to go to BYU, out here to go to BYU. And in 2005, I started grooming out of an SUV that I had. I did apply to other shops, and they wanted to start me as a bather, which is low totem pole status. So I said, you know what, I've already operated a shop for 6 years. I don't want to work for somebody else. So started grooming out of my SUV, just had a little toolbox and a little table that folded up, and I go into people's garages and groom their dogs. And when you hear people say, don't wait until your product or service is perfect, this is a prime example. I had clogged several bathtubs by bathing the dogs in the bathtubs. I had to, oh my gosh, I shouldn't even tell you. One, I got their plunger that was sitting beside the toilet, and I plunged their bathtub drain to get the hair to break through. So my product definitely was not perfect at this point, but it got me started. And I didn't do a lot of marketing because I was a student. I didn't want to, you know, kill myself, but I needed to put myself through school. So I just ran a little classified in the Daily Herald, and then started giving the clients that were calling business cards and a referral discount, which we still do. But I saw that people liked it. There were several things. They hated taking their dogs in, dropping them off, and then the dogs would have to be in the cages for a couple hours without food. And then they'd have to go back and pick them up. So, you know, a lot of time wasted just getting there and dropping them off. Mess in the car. I mean, when you have a dirty dog, you don't want to haul it in your car. You want it to be clean when it gets in your car. And just the stress on the owners and the pets. The pets are in there with other dogs barking, and you know, being away from mom, the owners get a little stressed. You know, they don't know what's happening to their dog and what's going on. So, you know, I realized people were liking this. So, and they were willing to pay a little more to have me come instead of just, you know, taking them to the shop. Oops. So, let's see, what year was it? 2006. Yeah, January 2006. This was our first van. And ladies, let me just give you some advice. If you're trying to get a date, do not buy something that looks like this. I cannot tell you how many times I got teased of the Dumb and Dumber van. And hurt my ego a little bit, but helped the wallet. So if you want dates or you want money, you take your pick. But this was our first van. I sold the car that I had. It was a little bit nicer car. Sold it. I think this cost me about $1,000 to $1,500, and my dad helped me set it up. So I got the Dumber and Dumber wagon and an older Jeep, and I was off. So we did have a lot of breakdowns with it when we first got started, but Dad would always tell me, well, it's cheaper than having a van payment, so you know, just go get it fixed and get back on the road to make money. When I first started, I talked to a groomer up in Salt Lake. She had bought, was it a wagon tail? that's one of the big names in the mobile grooming industry. They build real fancy vans. She had bought one of these fancy vans, and they start at $80,000 and go up from there. And she had bought one of these, and so we were talking, and her lowest price that she started at was $60, and we were starting at $35. And she was telling me that she was going under. She just could not do it because she had sunk herself by buying this $80,000 van, and I had this little $1,000 van, and I was making more by charging $35 than what she could make charging $60. Let's see here. So we started out not trying to make a killing, but we were just trying to pay the bills and get through school and provide a little living for us to live on. In 2006, January 2006, and my husband and I got married, and 2007, I needed some help. I was still a full-time BYU student, and the business was taking off, so I said, I need some help. So I'm not going to say willingly, but he did agree to learn how to groom dogs, hence how to train your spouse. It was not always easy. He's laughing because he knows I always say, you were my hardest student. I've trained multiple people, but he was my hardest student. It did cause a little bit of marital stress because we were both running the business instead of just one entrepreneur in the house. We had two, so it did cause a little bit of strife with us a little bit. I think it was more just because I was the boss and he was my employee, but he's gotten used to that, so. I'm just kidding. But at first we did have to set roles and say, okay, you handle marketing or you handle scheduling, and that did help us until we kind of, got our swing down, our groove down, and so now, we know how the business flows and we help each other. One of the things that's hard for us is to try to separate our business from family life. It's not a 9 to 5, you come home, you're done, great, you go to work tomorrow. It's every day, all day. So what we said is we don't have a specific time, but when it gets like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, if the phone is ringing, it's like, we're done, let's have family time now. But when we first started, it was like, oh, somebody's calling us, 9 o'clock, answer the phone, we need a customer. But we've kind of got out of that and said, okay, let's not answer the phone, it's family time now, let's try to have a little bit normal life here. There are some negatives, pros and cons to obviously running your own business. Some of the negatives is we are always on call. We can never say, I guess we could if we hired a manager, but for now, it's, okay, the van broke down, I'm on call, I run and get the groomer back in business, fix whatever if I can, and we're always there handling the problems. The pro is I get to spend time with my kids, so I was going to say most in here are women, but I don't know, we got a good mix. But as a woman, this is one thing that I really like about the business, is being able to be with my kids, even though I have the phone 24/7 on my hip, scheduling clients, either my husband or I. But that is one pro, that we can be more flexible and be a family, more than one of us at work all day long. So Joseph and I would switch off. I'd go grooming one day, and he'd be home with the kids, or scheduling and managing the phone calls, and then we'd switch the next day until about 2008, and we needed another groomer. I've heard good and bads about hiring family, but we've actually had a pretty positive experience with it. Our first employee was my brother, and we've had sister-in-law, we've had an aunt, and then we've had some other groomers that weren't family. But we do like family, and we've learned the hard way a couple things. To treat them as employees. A couple of the family members wanted paid in advance, and then they got to the point of where, okay, now it's a loan instead of just being paid like a week in advance. And then one of our other groomers she'd take the schedule out that day, and she'd just go through, this day off, this day off, this day off, Jill's off, da-da-da-da-da. So when we go back and look at the schedule, we're like, oh, I'm glad that works for us, that you just marked all the days off that you wanted. So just a word of advice, have the contract just like any of your other employees, and you know, I mean, obviously you're still family, but if you can treat them as this is a business deal, that's helped us at least. Employees, I mean, obviously we're limited without being able to hire. Some people say, well, why don't you and Joseph just go grooming and hire a low-paying secretary? But then, you know, we'd have our kids in daycare, and obviously we'd cap off at a point there too. But hiring has been one of the biggest problems, the hardest things for us in this business, where we have hired groomers, and even though they have great credentials, they can't follow directions, they can't, you know, adjust according to what we want in our service. And so it has hurt us a little bit. We try to correct the problem as soon as we can, but even after hiring, then we have lost customers because it wasn't us grooming. I think we have gotten some customers just because we were a small family based and they liked seeing the same face every time. But, you know, you will lose some customers, but in order to grow, we've had to, you know, hire. We've tried our best to hire good groomers. We do pay a little bit more than an average shop, not much, it's like 1% more, it's not much at all, but we also give them a monthly spa package, and we've got to the point where it is a perk, but it's also a reward. If they get 3 complaints in a month that we feel was something that they did wrong, that, you know, they knew they shouldn't have done, it was in our handbook that, you know, that's not one of our grooming techniques, or, you know, something that we felt it was their fault or they shouldn't have done that. You know, if they get 3 of them in a month, then they don't get their spa package that month. And so that's just something nice for a groomer when you're bent over all day. That's something that getting a massage is a perk for them. And we also give them the option of using our equipment, where some shops require that they have their own equipment. So just a couple little things. It's not much, but try to keep, you know, our employees happy and to attract a little bit better groomers. A couple of our marketing things that we have done. When we got started, just a little newspaper ad. Vinyling on the letters. We just put real basic letters, mobile dog grooming, and the phone number. We don't do wraps, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but that is a huge one. I put vinyl lettering on our first van, and the first drive down the freeway, we paid it off. So if any of you have a business and you don't have lettering on your vehicle, shame on you. By a raise of hands, how many people currently run a business or have something that's underway? Great. How many have a plan to someday have a business? How many years for class credit? Just kidding. Yeah, but that was a great one for us. So, I mean, your personal car, just get some vinyl lettering or something. At least for us, that gets us a lot of business because our vans stick out like a sore thumb. They are hard to miss. Google and our website has been a big one. I won 3rd place in the entrepreneur competition several years ago. I won't tell you how long. I don't even know if I remember how long ago, but 3rd place in the entrepreneur competition here at BYU. And as part of one of our prizes was to have a professional logo and website and some marketing material done. That was really big to put a professional face or professional front on our business. Looking back now, that's one of the things that I would highly recommend if you're starting a business, or at least I would recommend to myself when starting another business, but is to have a professional website done. I mean, even if your business isn't how good your website looks, you know, that's what people are seeing and that's what draws them in. At least for ours, we've had a lot of customers say, oh, I found you on Google, I love your website, I picked your service over anybody else's because I love your website. So that was a really big plus when we won the entrepreneur competition, is to have some professional marketing material done. And we're in the process of actually revamping our website right now. It was done, but we want to step it up a notch just because we find so many customers through Google. We do a referral discount. We've done that from the beginning. And word of mouth, I don't think it's really much as the discount, but I think just people, if they love what you do, they're just going to talk about it. So that's been a big one for us too, is word of mouth. We were in some vets. They recommend us. That's a good one. Also, we were in the Utah Student 25 competition, and we won 13th place. And probably about a week later, we got a call from the Daily Herald and from KSL. Just one second. And KSL did a little spot on the evening news for us. Do you remember how many hits on our website? I know I always ask you this. I never remember. 1,200 hits in 24 hours. And for a small little dog grooming company where, several clients can fill up a day, 1,200 hits was a big boost for us. And then in the front page out of the Daily Herald, I knew that we had a story coming out, but they didn't tell me it was going to be on the front page. So that morning, the phone is ringing off the hook. I'm like, what is going on? So I went down, saw the little newspaper box, and got out, and there it was, bam, right on the front page. Although they put a terrible, terrible picture of an ugly dog on the front. I wasn't very happy about that, but it did wonders for us. We just started that. So I've put yard signs around before, just little real basic yard signs, cheapo yard signs. And I tried to put them at intersections before, and we got calls from the police. We're like, well, if it gets us a couple customers, maybe it's worth the call from the police. So, but we stopped that. And so just recently, the last couple weeks, we sent out an email to our clients and said, hey, we'll give you $10 off on your next grooming if you'll let a little yard sign sit in your yard. So we've had customers do that, and we've actually been getting a lot of response from that. So, that's a cheap way just to have your customers help you market too. One thing that we try to do to keep and retain customers is just a little wow factor. Obviously, the mobile aspect of our business is unique. And if you can find even just a little twist to make the most boring service or product different, it can make a completely different business. Obviously, with our mobile service, the only difference is we're in a van, but we still just do dog grooming. But we also try to give them a little bit of a surprise. And one thing that we do is brush their teeth. Obviously, I'm sure almost every grooming shop offers teeth brushing, but we add it in with our regular packages. And so most people, would have to pay more, and then they'll never do it and don't realize, it can help their breath. A lot of people ask us about their breath. So we add teeth brushing in our regular service. And I've noticed the way that we word it on the phone, the way that we word what our packages includes, can really make or break the deal. So when I say, okay, our full package includes a full haircut, bath, we clip the nails, clean the ears out, and brush the teeth. And I leave them with that one that stands out that people are like, oh, you brush their teeth? Can you really do that on dogs? You brush their teeth? So that just clicks in their head a little bit. Oh, wow, they brush their teeth too. So that right there, they're like, oh, wow, it kind of sells them even a little more. And it only takes a few seconds to get in there and brush the dog's teeth, and it doesn't cost us anything but a little toothpaste. It's not a big deal. But we've noticed that wording it that way can help sell the service as well. So now we have about 1,200 clients. We have 5 groomers and 4 vans. These are some of our vans, not our current vans, but they all look pretty similar. This is what they look like on the inside. Well, some people can't tell what these are, but this is the bathtub with our hoses. We have clean water and a shampoo tank where you can spray the shampoo on them. This is going out the bus door, and so our little table sits here, and a little shelf over here for equipment. Oops. A couple of things that help us sleep through the night. A couple of things we didn't have implemented correctly when we first started, and I'm so grateful we didn't have to learn the hard way before implementing them. But your business license, we had that one, don't worry. But business license and getting your license done correctly from the get-go. Contracts, we had a real simple employee contract, I think, with our second employee, but then we finally took it into a lawyer and said, okay, we better have this done, and it was worth the investment. It really eases our mind a little bit more. Insurances, financials. I finally said, okay, let's have an accountant do it because I don't want to be audited and be all incorrect. And software, we switched over a year ago, but really have gotten it switched over maybe in the last 6 months to a software. We used to use little 3x5 cards, name, address, dog's name, breed, and we'd file them. And most groomers do it that way. A lot of groomers still do it that way. But we switched over to a software. We can pull up any information we want. How long has it been since so-and-so's been done? Or I can email everybody in American Fork. I mean, it does a million things, and it's really been worth the investment to keep us more efficient in rescheduling. Our groomers can pull it up on their apps at the door to reschedule people right at the door, because we used to have just little schedules, and one groomer would have the schedule, another one would have another one, but they scheduled customers, and then the days would be mixed up because we'll do like Highland on one day and Provo on one day. And so now everybody's on the same page, they have their app, they see the schedule, and it's made us a lot more efficient. So there's been a couple businesses that have branched out from K-9 Designs. Even though your first business and our first business, this wasn't my first business, but it definitely isn't the end of the story. We saw a few other weaknesses in the industry and has created a couple different things for us. We build mobile dog grooming vans now. When we first got started, we couldn't afford an $80,000 van, nor did we want, I mean, that's almost a mortgage payment, you know, for a small house, but we're like, you know what, we need something more reliable than that sexy white van that we started with. So we built another one. I said, well, let's try to sell them. And we're like, if it doesn't sell, fine, we'll use it in our business, and if it does, let's see. Because groomers need something with low mileage, you know, a good, dependable workshop inside with, you know, a new conversion in it that is going to provide them with a lot of years of service without breaking the bank and doing them under, you know, their first month. So we started building vans. Let me go back here. These are ones that we have built. So we find our vans usually at senior homes or retirement centers where they're older. They're like 10 to 15 years old, but they only have 60,000 miles on them. And so they have a lot of life left in them. And then we put the brand new conversion in them. It's not quite as fancy as some of the big name conversion companies in the industry, but they're brand new, they do the job, and we can sell them for a lot less than the $80,000 vans and still make a nice profit on them. So that led, we saw that weakness in our industry, and it kind of reduced our risk because we could use them in our business and then put them on the market for sale. And I don't know if you noticed, but some customers notice, hey, you got a new van. I'm like, yeah, we just rotate them, we sell them through. Some people say we get a new van when I wash them, but most of the time it's because we actually sold one and got a new one. But it's led to that, and that's been a nice little side business for us. And then also because of the mobile groomers, or the problem that we had hiring good groomers, there are not a lot of good groomers. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but there are a lot of bad groomers in the industry. So that was one of the problems we had trying to hire groomers. So I finally got sick of it. He said, you know what, we need a good school. So we started a little school. For personal reasons, I'm not growing it as big as, you know, it could be, because I like my freedom. We like to travel, but it made a good bit more money than even our mobile service, going out and grooming, starting the school. So led to that. We've had a couple little businesses that haven't gone anywhere. So don't think, you know, everything that we have started is always a success, because it's not. And you might remember this, but we started a little pet waste removal service called Poop Posse. I thought it was going to be great, where we go around and clean up customers' backyard. Like, you know, they could book us once a week to come in and clean the poop out of the yard. It flopped. We sent postcards to all of our customers, all of our grooming customers, because we're like, hey, they know us, we know they have dogs, we'll probably get an instant business from this. And it was so cute. It's called Poop Posse, and it was like a Western themed website, and our tagline was, we keep the turds out of town. You know, I thought it was going to be great, but it didn't go anywhere. Which I'm sad, because I liked answering the phone, hello, Poop Posse. But, so not everything has worked. We've also looked into a software because like I told you, we bought a software that is for groomers, but there's not a software out there that we really were impressed with and did everything that a mobile service needed. So we have looked into creating a software for mobile businesses, not just mobile groomers. I keep hitting that button. That's kind of on the back burner a little bit right now because we are also looking at another mobile service. I can't tell you what it is because I don't want anybody to steal my idea. I'm just kidding. But it is another mobile service. It's not related to the pet industry. But running K-9 Designs has given us so much experience networking and running the business and knowing the kind of the tricks of the trade with the mobile industry and how to build vans and software and just a lot of different avenues that we're looking at doing another mobile service that it looks like it has a lot more potential for growth and franchising, and we're kind of getting, well, not kind of, I'm excited. My husband's a little more my grounding, a little more my roots. He keeps me on the ground, or I just start up and just go for it. But we're looking at doing that. So this has definitely led to a lot of different avenues. Let me see. Yeah, so we've enjoyed K-9 Designs. My parents think we should do it forever. We were telling them about our other mobile idea, and they're like, oh, you should just stay with what you're at. But it has taught us a lot, given us a lot of good experiences, and hopefully will open up a lot more doors for us to build other businesses. So if you have any questions or want to learn to groom in my grooming school, give me a call or an email, and I'd be happy to share ideas or whatever might spark your interest. So thank you very much, and I'll take some questions. Sorry, I knew I'd forget once I told you that. Because we sell them so often, vinyl wrap might be like $3,000 to wrap that size of van. So we just put basic vinyl lettering, and it still does a great job. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get noticed.
Hey, you guys, I want to point something out, because what I love about Mindy's story, I mean, my brain, is all your brains working? Mine is. Remember that sticky note I gave you?
Sign of a true entrepreneur.
I am with you, because I'm like, oh my goodness, she can do this.
My husband will attest, sorry. If I get excited about something, I cannot sleep. My mind is racing 24/7. Like, we've got to do this.
See,
Sorry.
I'm dying to know what the new mobile business is.
I knew you would, and we'll tell you on the way up to the airport.
I think why do the policy work? Do people feel like they can clean up their own?
I don't know. There's a lot of pet waste removals around the country, and we're like, you know what? There's none in Utah County. So we're like, perfect, we'll have a monopoly. This will be another mobile grooming business for us. That'll be great. We have the same customers. I think there's too many Mormon kids. People are just having too many kids, and they clean up after the poop themselves. I don't know, but it did not fly.
I did not hear about it.
Darn it. You want to start scooping poop again?
So you guys, what I love about this, she's got her core business. You guys heard 4 weeks ago from, I don't know if you guys were there for, what was about Amy? What's her company? MediConnect. Okay, you've heard about medical software. You've heard last week about doormats. You've heard about Crazy P6, Scrapbook Magazine. Now you've heard about a dog grooming business. Look at I'm not sure about Amy, but the other three of us, we had a core business. But then we were like, wait a minute, we aren't satisfied with this. We know this is our core. This is what we do best. But then find ways that you can branch out. Those are called ancillary products. That should be a quiz question, ancillary products. Because that might be a mine. Because that is where you're going to make your money. That is the cash cow. You're going to have this business. You don't want to do anything to harm that. But teaching people to groom, that you said that's been a nice little, and it's in the backyard. Your backyard, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it.
Yeah, the vans have made us more money hourly, what it takes us to build a van, than dog grooming does. And same with the school, makes a lot more hourly.
And my other question is, had you ever seen a dog grooming mobile business before?
You know, it's really popular in California, Arizona, East Coast. So I didn't think of mobile, but there are none out here. There's a couple in Salt Lake, but it's catching on. It's a young industry.
So I was thrilled that you were going to just come to my door and take my little mutt, and exactly all those things you said. I love it. What do you do? This is a dumb question, nothing to do with anything, but what?
She wants to know what happens to her dog inside the van, I bet. Okay. Oh.
My family doesn't have.
I tell everybody that our clients, it's their kids.
Inside the van. I don't know. What?
A lot of dirty things,
so
hair everywhere.
My question was, how do you dispose of all that gross stuff in the van? I'm curious about that. Maybe I don't want to know.
There are some tools. We don't have it, but there's a shop vac where you clip the dog and it sucks it right into a container. We just sweep up and spray down.
And then where do you dispose it after?
So we have a garbage can in the vans, and then at the end of the day, they just dump it in the garbage.
In your garbages? Wow.
Not too technical. It's a pretty easy thing.
I thought maybe there was some kind of waste place where...
When we had the oil spills, they were, trying to get hair, and, you can send it to things like that. But on most part, it just gets it dumped.
Any other questions? She was so dynamic. Okay, Mindy, so this is our gift this year. This is a company called Jewel Cave. She does not have a dog, but if she did, I'd share that with you. And inside is the cutest necklace that she made. She's a woman entrepreneur that says rise up, and then it also says, it's just a cute saying because that's exactly what we've done. BYU, we teach people to rise up on the football field and off, and you've risen up. So wear this with pride.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Let's really give her a hand of applause.